Yes, here we go. Well, there's my phone playing the channel. How are we all? Hope we're all doing well. Celtic can't do well, are they? More disappointment tonight, I think it's fair to say. Right now, listening to the radio, just being there's a lot of fans getting pissed off with a lot of things. A lot of the ire is now turning towards the manager, and we can understand that, I suppose. At this point in time, we can all understand the reasons for that. It was another defeat, and yesterday's defeat was, in my opinion, was absolutely awful. I don't think we played well whatsoever. I think we spent time patting ourselves on the back that we got back into the game. If I'm honest with you, again, I didn't feel like there was still the cutting edge that I'd be looking for. And then when it comes to the goals that we conceded, fuck me. But we're going to get through all that. We're going to do this together tonight, this Monday night. We're going to shake off the rustiness, shake off the hangovers, and we will try and break down where the hell we think Celtic are at right now. Not for the first time this season. Remember, do all that good stuff. Give us a like, give us a share, buy some hair, slag some hair, whatever you want to fucking do with hair. Can't even remember why I used to say that, but anyway. Also remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and of course, if you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, like so many of you have, it's $1.99 a month, and it is a huge, huge help. Yeah, I mean, Pete McLaughlin, I don't know if that comment sums up, sitting ducks for months. Is that where Celtic are at right now, that they are just, this has been sitting ducks? It's so frustrating, because right now, people are going to fall out, right? People are instantly going to fall out because people who want to blame the board want to remain on that, and we're probably likely more bigger fans of Brendan than some. Others still have or had it at the back of their head about the rat thing and are really wanting to get on his back when results go bad. And of course, that's the case. You've got other groups as well where they can't see that this is a huge collective right now. Now, I'm one of the last people you would expect to be wanting Brendan to leave, but I think it's for the best now, you know? I think the best thing for Celtic would be for Rodgers to leave. But when I see it from the angles that I'm seeing online and stuff, guys, when it's, I just get him to fuck, he's a diddy and all this stuff, I'm also capable of seeing how we arrived where we are. And it all started with a story of playing a team called Bayern Munich in the Champions League, a match that Celtic had qualified for, having finished in the top 24 of the Champions League, and one that led us to a last 16 playoff against Giants Bayern Munich that we took to a minute to go of the game. What happened after that's been an absolute disaster, and what happened leading up to that fixture. Not that we knew we'd be in the position to play Bayern. Actually, we didn't know if we'd be in the top 16 of the Champions League. Ever thought of that one? No. Celtic just looked at numbers on spreadsheets. Numbers and went, Kyogo, 10 million, boom. No investment in a striker to replace the talisman. Perfect, 10 million profit. Boom. Let's do it. Who cares about the Champions League? We qualified automatic from the league last year. That was job done. And what we're seeing now, guys, is this side is a byproduct of what the board have done to the first team, what the board have done, and by decimating that squad, by asset stripping it out of it and not replacing with quality. So anyone who wants to chuck that aspect of the conversation in the bin is a fucking idiot. Now, what you're now getting from people, which I love, is, aye, but maybe the board are now thinking, right, you're not going to be here for the long haul, so we're not backing you. Do you think they're that clever? Do you think they now pick and choose what windows they supply Celtic with the ammo to get the job done and to improve? Do they? Fuck. Don't be naive. Don't be silly. If that was the case, then what happened in the January window I just mentioned? If that was the case, and it's all about the longevity of the manager being there, then how come Brendan's first window, when he had 3 years ahead of him to be at Celtic, how come that window was the infamous 9 in a row, the 9 signings in a row that, of course, none of have made an impact other than the biggest impact made out those 9 signings is Bernardo. I'll leave that one with you to decide what sort of impact you think that is. So they didn't back him then. So it's just bait and shifting, do you know what I mean? Or whatever that saying is. To suit your argument. But the one argument no one else can argue with, conversely, is, of course, Brendan has to still do better with what he's got. And a lot better, by the way. I'm looking at signings like Bhoycie, who I do believe the manager has his fingerprints on, because he's openly said 12 to 18 months we've been looking at this guy. So you've been made aware of him. If we were still looking at players, right, 12, 18 months on, that you weren't keen on, then, you know, more fool you for letting it happen. So I think that one is the likes of that is on him. And then look at the likes of Yamada, Mura, and you just go, just shut up. Like, that's been put on the manager the same way the 9 signings in his first window were. Just don't fall for it, though, guys, that this has been. Please don't fall for it that they knew he was going, so they didn't back him. Wait till you see what happens in the next 2 windows, and wait till you see what Hearts do in comparison with Celtic. Hearts already have Georgian International signed up, ready to go January the 1st. Now, considering where we're at right now, the best we could hope for, I think, is to be a point or 2 ahead. That would be like the dream. Our best hope for where Celtic find themselves come January the 1st would be League Cup champions and maybe a point or 2 ahead of Hearts or Rangers at the top, right? That'd be the best bet. So that tells you, if that's the case, we're going to need to go again in January. I think the realistic likelihood, attitude to it is that we'll not be top of the league come the 1st of January. I don't think we will at all. And therefore the need to go in January again is even bigger. Hearts have already got their first signing set up. They're going again. They've already got it planned. Georgian Internationals are joining them. I can't remember that, there's a fee involved with that, but they've got plans. Celtic, we think, have a board who get advised players to get and then decide to play sporting director and play the sort of chief exec role in terms of what players' values are, rather than just supporting the football operation and getting the right guys in. The board, strange of a doctor comes in. I'm just going to read this out. The board have ripped the heart out of Celtic. I agree. They've tried to fill the gaping hole with cash. It's fucking useless capitalist dogs, a lot of them. Oh, well done, mate. What a fucking message. And I think that, strange of the doctor, is absolutely how I feel. And putting it words better than mine, with that same sort of, nippiness that I like, that I feel right now. Well said. They've ripped the heart out of this. They've deflated the manager, by the way. Now, we would all say, well, the manager gets paid to reinvigorate and to reinvent the team in a different manner. And that's probably true. I think he's let himself down with his stubbornness to formations, to stubbornness to tactics, his random first team selections. But trust me on this, we're all humans. And when you do something in the Champions League that Celtic haven't done for so long, and that was make a bit of a dent in it, get some wins, take a Bayern all the way to the last minute of the game, away from home, by the way, is when we did our best work in that tie, if you remember. So, when you then get to the summer, and these pricks decide, oh, Champions League, you'll get us there anyway, won't you, Brendan? Oh, sorry, that's Nicholas Kuhn away before those qualifiers. A replacement for Kyogo? Well, it's notoriously difficult in the summer window. You said that in the January window. It's notoriously difficult in both windows. Basically, is what we're saying, Brendan. What we're saying is, though, qualify for the Champions League whilst we tie one arm behind your back. Everyone's going to believe, Brendan, by the way. Did I tell you this, that you're being awkward and you're not signed a new deal? And see, if they don't believe it, we're going to go to the press and we are going to release an inside info article to the Sun saying that you're working your ticket, just to plant the seed that that's the reason why. That's the reason why we didn't back you, because we've got. So what they did there is, yeah, just another reason. They don't like Brendan's one of them, but really it was just another reason not to spend money. But what worries me really bad is the window shutting 2 months ago, just about, and watching Brendan, elite Brendan, I think, lose his way a bit. Yes, I think it's understandable that he's lost his mojo. I honestly do. But you either resign or you do more of your cheeky chappy sort of conversations to the media that would rattle the board enough to sack you for you needing your money. But in the meantime, you've got to make sure that's the best fucking team possible. And I'm worried that he is a two-season manager. And when it comes to season 3, and things like this do happen, yes, and I don't think he deserves it. But in the meantime, he's running out of ideas of what to do with that Celtic team to make it work in adverse moments, in times of adversity throughout the whole club. I want his quality to shine through. I don't think it has. Why don't we ask you all? Just put in a yes or a no. Should Brendan Rodgers carry on as manager, or would you be happier? You know, if it's yes or no, I come to give you an option. Should Brendan Rodgers still be in charge of Celtic come the end of this week? I want to ask that question. And I think there's a lot of people turning to no. But it pains me to do it as a huge Brendan fan, as you all know. But what I hate even more, is people then dropping the ball on the board, which I warned you all about this happening. This is the biggest problem. Brendan's played into the fucking board's hands by not delivering outcomes that I still think he's got a squad. If he can work out a tactic, a formation, a style of play, and a bit of fucking drive into them, personality into them, I still think he can be delivering better outcomes right now in the face of that board, which would make our case against him so much stronger, because when Celtic are flying and we still sing sack the board after every goal we score, after every 3 points we collect, that message is so ramped up. It's so much more poignant. It's so much more, well, you can't call us spoiled now because when we're winning, we still want you because we want what's best for Celtic. If you're getting beat, they can just say, oh, yeah, scattergun, they want the manager out, they want the board out. I think there's many others who've actually now started swallowing, as I say, the do you know what? I think the board actually aren't backing him because he's a bit of a dick. He's a bit shit. Shut up. It's not because that the board chose not to back the manager, not because it's Brendan the manager, the manager. It's a Brucey bonus that they don't like Brendan. Do you know what I mean? It's just there's a lot of no's coming in. So I want to go through them. We got Chill Pill, no. Shoot CFC, no. Craigie White, no. Monty, ask me that again next Monday. On the fence, Monty, that's the first time you've ever done that, son. Sorry, I need a beer. David, no. KC, no. But D-Mac comes in saying yes. I'd love you to follow up on that, D-Mac, if you don't mind. Teresa Media, I'm a Brendan fan, but he has to go if he can't get a tune out of the team. The board are to blame for the whole shit show and shows their mentality to be the best. I agree with all of that as well. He can't get a tune at the team, but the board are the ones to blame. Definitely. Totally agree with that, Teresa. Scottish Jason, he says 30 million of his own signings sat on the bench early in the season. Engels, Bernardo, Trusty and Ida. Would you trust him with any more money? Well, see, if I can't trust my manager with any money, Jason, they wouldn't be my manager. Because you need to make the optimum decision for the football club. You are lucky enough to have the keys behind the desk to organise. You are lucky enough to have the keys to the front door, I should say, as well. You're lucky enough to lord over those bank balances. You're lucky enough to actually play God with the direct debits of Celtic supporters. If you can't trust the football operation that you, by the way, employed, not you, Jason, the board, if you can't trust the people you employ to make football decisions, to make them, then it's a dereliction of duty still that you've not got rid of them. They're slamming doors for them all over the place, Jason, mate. Boys on tour, no. Too much conflict between the board. It's affecting the players, 100%. Boys on tour, just add to that though. What about the conflict between the board and the fans? Is that affecting the players as well? Interested to get your thoughts. Chris M, great to have you on the channel, mate, as always, because you're always watching, mate, when we go live. Really, really do appreciate it. No, only because of the obvious decline, which was accelerated by the board. Sad part is that it was all avoidable. Well done, mate. There's another one. Sharing my views on this, that everything's been accelerated by the board. But unfortunately, Chris is still of the mindset that Brendan should go, and that's because he's not getting enough of a tune, unfortunately, out of what he has been left with. He's still not performing to the level he should. That's the harsh reality. John Paul Nellis, brilliant to have you on, mate. Don't recognise your username, so cheers for joining us. Yes, imagine Maloney or Lennon as replacement. Well, that's a great point. Where would their imagination station take them when it comes to arriving at someone's door to go, do you want to be Celtic manager? Let's be honest, it'll be within a mile's radius of the training ground, wouldn't it? Of course it would be Maloney. It'd be Maloney instantly. Would they then go, it'd be John Kennedy or Maloney, to be fair. Would they then look at further afar? I think that, if I'm honest with you, that scares me as well. And I have to take that on board when I'm saying that I think he should go. Because of course John Paul's right to flag. Okay. So what happens after that? It's Maloney or Kennedy. And let's be honest, whilst they're hunting for another manager, they're keeping their eyes on the results that Kennedy or Maloney muster in that time. Get 3 wins in a row. There's the job to the end of the season. You've got yourself a contract. That wouldn't surprise me either. Strange of the Doctor, yes. I would keep him. I'm not a Brendan sycophant, and I never wanted to play his hand in the first place. Yeah. But you would still keep him. Or do you mean yes, you want him gone? I don't know. I think most folk were saying no, want him gone. Am I reading this right? Am I losing my mind? I just got confused there. Anyway, Monty Maloney would need a booster seat in the running. Now, John McCauley. Wow. Love this. Bellamy is my choice, and it's with a new backroom team. Now, I have loved the Bellamy interviews. How many of the Wales games have you watched, though? Honest question, by the way, John. Don't think I'm trying to catch out in any way, shape, or form. But I've been very much hooked on how he spoke as a manager and the sort of reaction he's been getting to the performances, albeit I've not watched him. What I'm trying to do here is look, actually, though, for what's his win rate? You know, what is his win rate as manager at Wales? Bellamy, how many games he actually managed? Can we see it? The most recent one I can see is he's won 46%. 14 matches, won 6, drawn 4, lost 4. I mean, it's not bad, is it? It's not bad. I mean, I think he'd be pretty box office like. But yeah, he talks a lot. He talks really well in the pressers. But if you've not watched enough of him, I don't know. Damien Duffy mentioned and Steve Clark. Yep, definitely. Mr. A, let's all be honest. So I take you're a no then, Mr. A. Just a yes or no question. He says they play well just for a matter of months. I mean, the record-breaking year of 2024. I mean, I don't know. He's got a lot of stats that would back up that he's had a good tenure as well. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Strange Love, thanks for confirming. It's really difficult because we're not the board. Getting rid of the board is the long game. That's what folk need to remember. That is the long game. That's the one where we are going to stay resolute, stay focused on what has to happen with that board. And if other decisions need to be taken, i.e., and I go back to it, silent protest, carry on just because you got a meeting with them. You carry on doing what you do. And we need Celtic to carry on doing the right things or attempt to do the right things whilst we want this board out. The show must go on whilst we want another show, if that makes sense, in the future. And whilst we know that board ain't going anywhere without a fight, in the meantime, we can still try and look at the football operation separately and go, is the manager doing the best he can right now at Celtic? Is he working his ticket? I'm not sure. I just think he's deflated. I think he's checked out. And I think it's rubbed off onto the players. I think he's struggling to bring it back. But, and remember, it wasn't just not getting backed. When he was accused in that newspaper article of that, and then when Celtic have said at the infamous meeting now from a few weeks ago, where we learned absolute square root fuck all that we told you all on the bus 2 weeks before that anyway. But when they said, oh, that's all done, that's done, it was nonsense, and no one for the club actually had done that, Rodgers already winked to the media that he knew it was someone at the club who'd done it. Roger Hanna then stood by what was in his paper. It took him about a week to come out the woods, but yes, he did. And he stood by that article. So I find that very, very interesting that you add that to the mix and you're going, as a manager deflated and being betrayed, if you like, behind his back. The Celtic board don't want to pay up Brendan's contract and whatever else clauses he's got if he is sacked, if there's other payoffs. I know Mr. A was saying last time around, oh, that can't be the problem. Well, what is the fucking problem then? Because if you actually listen to all the comments, you're going, well, people don't think he was back now in the summer because they knew he was leaving. They didn't know he was leaving. They bitched about him to the papers. The results are shit. The results have been shit for a long time. I think this calendar year's been awful. So what is the reason they don't just get rid of a guy that they don't like, who's got all that behind them this year? You tell me. And um, the only currency their conversations deal with is ironically money. I like the truth. The truth's my favourite currency, but Celtic's favourite currency is actually money. It's ironic, but it's true. How many players has he improved? He used to have a reputation for developing players. Where is that now? Well, Dave Murray did well, didn't he? I know, mate. I mean, there's been a lot wrong with this tenure as well. Of course, there has. But as I've always said, there was a lot wrong with Angie's tenure as well, and there was a lot wrong with Lenny's tenure before that, but a lot right with it as well up to the COVID season, which people seem to forget. David, I'm now convinced Rodgers is goading the board into firing him. He knows if he walks, he'll leave a hated man. His decisions and comments are two things up the board and indirectly to the fans. Yeah, he's not trying to piss the fans off. I think that's true. I think he's had a few pops where he's wanted the board's attention and go on then, fucking do it. But it's on the board, this though. See if any of that was, anything that we've seen, but they're pissed off at that. His KPI is to qualify for the Champions League through a playoff. He failed it, and now his win rate for the year is 50% or something like that. Miles short of where it should be, and we're 8 points behind Hearts going into November. And you don't like him, and you think he's working his ticket because you went to the Sun and told him that. Sack him! And there's got to be a reason for that cop-out. So everything comes back to them. Rain Man comes in. Love the way that's spelled. Rain Man. Autistic. You should try and play the date of birth of footballers game with me, mate. That's Rain Man material. Because having heat on BR takes the heat off them. Of course it does, mate. Absolutely spot on. And of course, we've got the Small Matter Rangers on Sunday. What I'll do now before I go, we'll do another yes or no. Do Celtic qualify for the League Cup final on Sunday? Expand on your answers if you want. I'm going to go through them all. That'll take us up to about 35 minutes, and we'll get out of here. Just have a quick sip of a beer while I look for the replies. When I said a quick sip, I meant like 6 sips. Right. The votes are coming in. Terry Delisle, straight away, no. Rain Man, no. Strange Love, the Doctor does. Strange Love, he wants Brendan to stay and thinks Brendan will get through. I love it tonight, mate. He made a lot of great points, and it's good to have that balance as well in the chat. Scott Cameron does not think so. Great to know John McCauley thinks Taneke is a faster player than Palmer, but eerily similar. Good to reply to other questions. I'm only just jesting. John, Scott Cameron doesn't think we'll get through. Gareth does. Boys on tour, nope. Warren's team talk doesn't. Estepona boy, yep, for sure they will. Joe C, but heart says yes, but my head says no. Oh, man. I get it. That's probably the closest to where I'm at right now. Chill Pill, it's a no. John Paul McNellis, it's a no, can't see it. KC, no, can't defend, struggling to score. It's the goals thing as well. Fucking hell. That's unbelievable. We scored a goal more than Livingston this year, guys. A goal more than Livingston. That's shitey David Martindale's Livingston we're talking about. At the Tony play at Tony Macaroni Stadium. Craigie says, yes, we have to. I don't know if you're answering the question there, though, Craigie White. Mr. A says, not a chance in hell. They're hungrier. Celtic are diminished. Despite them being poor all year, this will be the final shambles. I think he's right. I don't want you to be right, Mr. A. Not because it's you saying it. I just don't want you to be right because we want to see Celtic in League Cup finals. And I think it would be a really sad way for a man who's delivered 4 out of 4 titles, 4.5 out of 4.5 league titles, you could say. And I think he's failed in 2 tournaments out of 15, something like that. 13, fuck knows. Something like that. He's only failed in like 2 cup competitions, both the Scottish Cup and the League Cup in separate years. Yeah. But I know it'd be a really sour way for it all to end, I think, for the Brendan thing. Yeah. Celtic go play now 3-5-2. We ain't going to beat that, so no, because of their formation. I like, fair enough. I did hear that they changed the formation the weekend. They did get a win as well. We haven't won in our last 3, boys on tour, so he's not convinced. If we play the 4-3-3, nope. We failed to win 13 big games in 2025. That is astonishing, P. McLaughlin. I'd love you to list them if you can, but I understand if you don't have them all to hand. Keep Brendan, sack the board, says Kenneth Todd. Unfortunately, I just think the sack the board thing, Kenneth, is too far down the line, mate. You've also got to protect. You've got to protect the football and accomplishments and successes or disasters that can occur whilst you're in the process of trying to remove the establishment, as it were, which is the board. We are, Kenneth, I think we're in a real mire here where the board one is the long war, but we still need to make sure we're winning short battles in the park as well throughout this. I just happen to think Brendan going will be better for those short battles, albeit I actually happen to think I've got two sides to it, because there's an argument to say he is just a 2-season manager and he does this wherever he goes anyway. But I completely empathised with his Leicester demise, such as he wasn't back there either. They signed, I think, John Souttar's brother for 15 million on the final day of the window and recouped, I think, 100 million in transfer fees. The Leicester were the only club ever, I think, to go at the last day in Premier League history, to go at the last day of the window before signing a player. They got one, and it reflected in the season. But I wonder if it could have been so much different. I think he was sold a pup by Desmond as well. He's came back here because I'm coming back because they're ambitious again. With the Champions League guaranteed for the 3 years I'm there, brilliant. Or so he thought. Maybe not guaranteed, but 3, obviously, because we didn't make it this year, but you know what I mean. 3 stabs at it. If I win the league, I'll win the league. I'll win it because they all seem focused. Recruitment, he says, changed. He kept quoting it. He's been totally let down. A different establishment, Kenneth, I'd be all for what you're saying, but I don't think we'll be able to get rid of them too quickly either. Robert Gibson doesn't believe it because they've been put on Santa's naughty list already, so no chance. Well, fair enough. That could be it, mate. You never know. But we don't want to fall out with Santa again, after last time. Right. Thank you for all the feedback. Really enjoyed going through all the comments and taking a wee bit more time with them than what I have been when I've been on my own sometimes, because you're trying to rant for like 30-40 minutes and that, do you know what I mean? You don't want it to let you just reading for reading's sake. But I've really enjoyed taking in the comments, because I've took them in a wee bit more as well than normal. And there is a lot of balance out there. There's a lot of fair opinion. There's a lot of conflicting opinions, and I get that. But what I will say is the live chat tonight has inspired me a hell of a lot more than Twitter, for example, did, where I thought the vitriol towards the manager was so reactionary, so childish, and so predictable. And they have to remember, if they really are part of this long war to remove that board, stop playing into their hands with that pish. It's easy to give constructive criticism. It's easy to say, I think the manager should go right now. The reasons for it are many and they're wide, and we know what they are. He's jumping on, calling him a rat, saying he's checked out. You're literally repeating what they sold to the Sun as a news story 2 months ago. You are the bold when you do stuff like that. Don't be that person. You can be better. Right, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. Boys on Tour maybe sets us up for the next episode. If there is any movement, I doubt there will be. He says, who would replace Brendan? The suggestion in the chat tonight was Craig Bellamy. I mean, for the box office, but he'd be great. Would be Roy Keane. Remember that one? See you.